Hi everybody, this is Phyllis Pieri, your franchise coach and a member of the Franchise Consulting Company. And with me I have Pete Balden, one of my very favorite people in franchising. And Pete, tell me about Moran Brands and how it started. How did you end up there?
Well, that's
a long story,
I know. Long story.
We'll keep it short.
It started in Moran Brands itself started in 1990 when Dennis Moran went out and started buying up automotive franchises that weren't doing so good. Okay. And the first one was he bought Mr. Transmission. And then he bought a couple other transmission companies that were regional companies. Then he bought Milex. Then he bought Altamira Automotive Outfitters. So throughout the 90s, he was acquiring companies. And then in 98, he got sick and had some serious health problems. And they ended up making his daughter, Barb Moran,
who is a wonderful woman,
who grew up in the business. They made her the president in '99. They contracted with a search firm to find somebody to help Barb, run the company, and Lois.
Oh, Lois Marshall.
Marshall.
Oh my God! Out of Monterey, California.
Yeah, Lois Marshall.
She was like a headhunter for
she was a
franchise
headhunter
executives.
For franchising, and Lois found me and put Barb and I together. And so I've been there since 1999.
Oh, having been in franchising for a long time, it's really a small world. See, there's another story, right?
That's
my God, unbelievable.
Right.
So I know that one of the things, I've talked to Barb and I hope to have a chance to interview her also, but one of the things that was interesting is that when she took over the company, you guys together decided that franchising and developing, no more acquiring, really more focusing on selling individual franchises?
Right, so we took the companies, one of the things we had to do was we had to take the companies that we acquired and we had to put them all on the same platform. So we had to go through a best practices process to really develop the system so that regardless of what brand name it might have been, they were on the same system that was working. And so we did that first. And then we also, because they were acquisitions, we also had some franchisees at the time that didn't quite meet the standards we wanted to establish. And so for 2 years, we made the conscious decision, 3 years probably, made the conscious decision to take all of our new franchise leads and use them for resale.
To resale.
To upgrade the system and get some of the struggling guys out.
Right,
and all that, and we did it very amiably. It was
and that's part of, nobody likes change, right? And so, I mean, I've been with franchise companies that have acquired people, and anytime those things happen, anytime there's change involved, it's challenging, right?
But having said that, Phyllis, I want to tell you that our system, is very well established, and we have, I don't think anybody in franchising can say this, we have 16% of our franchisees that have been in our system for 30 years or more.
Wow.
And 33% of the franchisees have been in for 20 years or more.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So, and as you know, I spent 10 years in automotive.
Right.
So I'm actually very comfortable in this space, and I often wonder why more women don't get in this space, because it's a great business model.
Our franchisee of the year 2 years ago was a woman.
Is that right?
Is a woman.
She's still a woman.
Is. She's still a woman. She is in Florence, Kentucky. Susan Strunk-Trumbull, great lady. Her dad was an airline pilot and bought the franchise in 1987, and then brought Susan into it because he was short on help in 1992, brought Susan into it. And they were partners then for a lot of years. And then her dad passed away a couple of years, and she's carrying on the tradition. And she actually, with a Mr. Transmission, was Franchisee of the Year, voted on by the other franchisees.
Wow. And you know, one of the things people don't think about is the transmission business is one of those businesses that when the transmission goes out, I'm sorry, you're not going anywhere.
You're not going
stuck.
anywhere.
You got to get it fixed whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that you're blending transmission with full service automotive is really powerful.
It's the smart thing to do in today's market with where the industry has gone, where the technology in the cars has gone, because the diagnostics 10, 15 years ago were a lot easier. If you did a test drive with a car, you drove it around the block a couple of times and it wasn't shifting shifting properly, the transmission had to come out. Today, that's not the case. Today, you could have 4 or 5 other things that cause that transmission to
Really?
shift. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's
It could be
interesting.
the emissions control system. It could be a short. It could be a number of different things. Bad solenoid that are external to the transmission. So if you take that transmission out and you just rebuild it, it may not have needed to be rebuilt, right? It may be an external problem that's causing the shifting issue. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And you got transmissions now that are 8, 9, 10 speeds. So it's so much
Unbelievable.
more complex. So you have to be on top of the technology,
Wow.
and so we really have to be great at diagnosing the problems so that you're fixing the right things.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, who knew, right?
Right.
So you told us a success story because you told us about the lady in Kentucky. So tell people what it's like to get started in one of your centers.
We do a great job, I think, with our onboarding process. We have a timeline checklist that literally lays out every single thing that the franchisee needs to do from the time they sign the agreements until the time they get through their grand opening. And every single step is laid out for them. All they have to do is find, and we have a liaison who talks to them every week and goes through the checklist and makes sure that everything's getting done on time.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And walks them through that process. So the onboarding, it's always challenging. It's always tough, when you're starting a new business. But we really have the system nailed down.
Okay.
You know.
So there's a lot of competition in your space. How do you differentiate yourself from the competition?
Yeah. Well, so we differentiate ourselves in a couple of different ways. One, fundamentally, is that because we took 2 brands, Mr. Transmission and Milex Complete Auto Care, and we put 2 franchises together under the same roof, it is the most complete automotive repair franchise in the industry.
Right.
Nobody can do everything that we do. We do everything from maintenance, light repairs to engine replacements, transmission rebuilds.
And cars aren't going anywhere.
Right. Anything that has to be done to the customer's car, we can do. Okay. The other way we differentiate ourselves is we really have a family atmosphere that's committed to the franchisees. We have a strong set
Yes,
of
you
core
do.
values, and when our franchise candidates come into Discovery Day, they hear that in the process, but when they come into Discovery Day and they meet our team, they know we're living it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and anyone who knows me knows that I pride myself in only working with the best companies, and your success is really important to me, and that's why I love working with you, because I know that if I send somebody over to you, you're going to take good care of them.
Yeah.
And, so tell me, drawing a blank now. This isn't good. Okay, hold on. I got another question here. I know I have a good one for you. I asked you about the startup process, and I asked you about that. I think I asked you all the questions.
Yeah, so with the startup process too, we've got this timeline that we go through, and then we also are in a tremendous amount of communication with that franchisee during the first year, because we put them through a ramp-up plan that's going to get them, from start
To finish.
to
I know what I was going to ask you. Here's the question that I went blank on. Who makes a really good franchise owner? Who am I looking for, Pete?
So, a really good franchise owner, okay, is somebody who has leadership skills, sales skills. They do not have to have automotive
Or nor do you want
skills.
them to, right?
Well, it's interesting that you say that, Phyllis, because what happens a lot of times, not in every case, don't want to generalize too much, but in a lot of cases, if a person is a professional automotive person, they've been a mechanic or whatever, they're used to doing things a certain
Their way, that's right.
And they tend to not follow the system as much as somebody who doesn't have the automotive experience,
Right.
who will come in and say, this is a good system, and I'm buying it because I want to follow the system and be
Exactly.
successful.
Well,
okay?
yeah, you don't want to go in the
Yeah.
shop, they're complaining, and you go and where are they? Their heads under the hood.
Right.
Not good.
Most importantly, we want candidates that really share our core values.
You bet. All right. Pete,
So-
thank you very much. How can they find you besides
they
coming
can,
through me?
Yeah, you bet. I'll tell you how they can find me. My cell phone number is 630-294-0481.
Just tell them
Okay,
Phyllis sent you. Only kidding.
call me on my cell phone.
Is it moranbrands.com?
P Baldine, Baldine at moranbrands.com, or
Okay.
you can just go to, and that's my email address, or you can just go right to our website.
Perfect.
And schedule an appointment with us.
All right. See, another quality brand. What can
Yeah.
I tell you? We'll be back
Thanks,
to you
Phyllis.
later.
Great
You're
talking to you.
welcome. Bye.